Every one of you watching this screen, look out!
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
What did I tell you about cartoons?
They've got a lot of brains, and they've got a lot of chutzpah.
Tell me how comic books make you feel, Dave.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Hi, this is Toon Talk, and welcome to the official channel of the Australian Cartoon Museum. And I'm with
Jim Bridges, and I'm the president of the Australian Cartoon Museum. And this guy is not Huckleberry Hound. This guy is
Snagglepuss. I'm Franz Cantor. I'm an illustrator, cartoonist, and Toon Talker. And
he happened to do the background too.
So Toon Talk is a show about cartoons, comics, and animation, and the love of that.
Oh,
what?
Keep talking. I'll
Keep
go
talking.
get the cat.
Oh, okay. So he's going to go and get the cat. So what's on today? Today's show we feature a segment called Behind the Brush, where I get to interview artists
I got the cat.
in the prime of their career to talk about the business of cartooning and what they love about the medium.
Behind the brush.
Yes, that's called Behind the Brush, and we're talking to Danny Zemp, an Australian cartoonist, very tall guy.
Behind the brush?
Behind the Brush.
Oh, okay.
Not that brush. So the next segment we've also got is a segment which we've named Cartoon Cats.
Yes.
Because for some reason there's a proliferation of cartoon cats. Not so much dogs, but cartoon cats.
Yes.
Now, if you love cats or hate cats, irrespective, there's a lot of cartoon cats.
A lot of them.
So interact with us on our Facebook channel and let us know your favorite cat so that we can actually feature it on the show and draw it. So today we're doing Sylvester the cat, and that of course is voiced by Mel Blanc. Mel Blanc did 99% of the voices on Warner Brothers cartoons, the Bugs Bunny show. Now, Sylvester of course had a lisp, and his tongue was sticking out, which is quite funny. It happens a lot to cats apparently.
Does it?
Yeah, they lose their front teeth and their tongue.
Fluffer and Fluckatash.
Anyway, he has the distinction of being probably one of the most well-known cats
On the planet.
And
And it's saying something.
that's saying something. There's a lot of cats on the planet.
So do you want to get to that really hard word now?
Yeah, which is what?
And
I don't know. We're not doing anthropomorphic. We'll talk about that in a
That's the
second.
word. That's it.
Okay, so also with Danny Zemp, we're talking about visual note-taking, or visual shorthand as Jim likes to call
Visual
it.
shorthand.
Which is like whiteboard drawing, drawing on the whiteboard and things like that for meetings and business people and visual communicators in general.
Yes.
That segment's called Cartoons are for Closers. Like
closers.
coffees for closers, right? So cartoons are for closers, and that's very important because as a cartoonist you need to get a feel for how you're going to make money.
I need closure.
In today's world.
I need closure.
Yeah, it's not closure, it's closers.
Oh, closure.
So it's selling, it's about selling cartoons. So look out for that, that's a very exciting thing. The other area we're talking about is cartoon advertising. And today we're going to feature Dollar Bill. Now Dollar Bill was a character created by
Monty Wedd,
an Australian cartoonist famous for comic strips like Ned Kelly and
Bull Ben Hall.
Bull Ben Hall. So,
and it was the most it was an advertising
mascot for the changeover from pound, shillings, and pence
he's basically
to
a dollar
currency.
bill rolled up.
Yes,
and
unusual.
He drives cars and walks around, and he basically just tells you the difference between pound, shillings, and pence and dollars. Because during 60
with a jingle which is based on Click Go the Shears.
Yes, and it was the most successful advertising program for introducing new currency in any other country in the world.
Proof that cartoon mascots sell.
Yes.
Proof that cartoons are really, really, really powerful.
And they work.
Yes.
They work.
So the idea of using anthropomorphic characters for products is not a new idea, right? It's been used since the birth of advertising about 150, 120 years ago.
Let your cartoon character do the work for you.
Yeah, so they're basically anthropomorphic characters. You'll be familiar with Disney, obviously. So they made Disney made an empire out of anthropomorphic characters.
Now,
right?
do you want to explain
so
that?
Goofy and Mickey Mouse. Anthropomorphic is a word that just means you're attributing human characteristics to something that isn't human. So cats, for example, right? It could be something subtle, like a voiceover in the head of a cat, or it could be something that's quite.
It could be a can of beans with legs and arms and talking to you.
Well, that's a product, but the Disney studios and animation studios, and you would be familiar with using anthropomorphic cats, but we're going to have a challenge. We're going to call it the Challenge Arena, right? So the Challenge Arena. Every episode we've got a new challenge. This challenge arena is creating an anthropomorphic character.
And we want you to send us
your anthropomorphic character.
That's right, on
our Facebook page. Facebook page. So look for the ACM on Facebook.
Yes.
The Australian Cartoon Museum on Facebook. Now, let me preface this. We're not doing animal anthropomorphic characters. We'll save that for another challenge.
We're doing objects.
We're doing objects. So objects only. That could be an orange. It could be
a chair.
Like the M&M, right?
A chair.
It could a chair. It could be a car, right?
Charlie chair.
Try not to have alliteration too much in the names of these characters. It's a little bit cliche. Charlie chair. Sally Shark. Silly.
There are female sharks?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it?
I have a bugbear about alliteration in names, choosing names for cartoon
I have a
mascots.
bugbear about anthropomorphic because I can't pronounce it.
Yeah. Well, anthropomorphic is cartoons doing the heavy lifting of selling, right? So we all like to sell. We like to sell ourselves. We like to see objects. We like to see characters on the supermarket shelf, not just products. This isn't a way of selling bad junk food or anything to kids. This is something that really highlights the very nature of cartoons themselves and being great communicators across all age groups and across all cultures. So cartoons are a very, very strong communicator. There's nothing more stronger, I think, than advertising, because that's really putting your mouth where your money is, or putting your money where your mouth is. Putting your money where your mouth is.
Yes.
Yeah, in many ways. So that's the challenge, folks. Anthropomorphic design of a character that's not an animal, it's an object.
Send in your stuff.
Yes. So I've got an example of that. I'll draw the dollar bill, which you can have a look at.
And can we do Under the Lino now?
Yes.
Under the Lino.
Stay tuned for Under the Lino, where we're going to talk about Eric Jolliffe, the work of Eric Jolliffe. Now, Under the Lino, strange name, right? But it refers to...
What's lino? What's lino, they say?
Linoleum. It refers to what they used to...
Pre-carpet.
Well, it refers to actually what they used to put in kitchens. Now, under the lino, because lino is supposed to be thin, right? They don't use underfelt, they use usually newspapers. Back in the 1930s and 1940s, they actually used American comics. Because American comics were imported in Australia during the war, and they were big, one-sheeters or
mostly old newspapers and stuff. And of course, when you pulled up the lino, when you pulled up the lino, there's all these wonderful cartoons, political and comic strips and stuff, and some were in colour.
Yeah,
not many, but
unbelievable. We'll talk more about that later on. So that's coming up. Don't miss that. And let's get on with the show. Okay, so here we are. This segment, we're back with...
Under the Lino.
Under the Lino. That's where...
it's
all the cockroaches
tight down here. Oh.
Yeah. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at, what do they call a reprint cartoon, a countertop book by Eric Jolliffe.
Yes.
And it's only 1 shilling, which is 10 cents in anyone's money.
Well, this was published in the 40s.
Yes.
And he went on to do a lot more. This is This is one of his calendars he did.
In 1991.
Yeah, he died in that. That was the last year he died, actually.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he died in 91.
So we'll have a look briefly
No,
at
2001 he died, 2001.
We'll have a look briefly at his colour work.
Yeah.
And these were later.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get stuck
Let's
into
have a look
it.
in the 1940s.
So-
now, what is this? These are reprints from Pix magazine, where
That's
he
right.
had Saltbush Bill, which resided there.
And these
That was something
cartoons
very
were
interesting.
published.
Before you go into the cartoons, I just want to talk about the cover.
Yep.
The Pix magazine was a cheap
This is
cheap
an ad.
magazine.
This is an ad.
This is an ad. What's this doing here?
Silver
Well, you
Star
can see-
Starch.
Okay, this is how they sold
They used
the
to-
printing.
they
They
used-
paid for the printing of this magazine. They sold the back page. So
Yeah.
Silver Star Starch.
Yeah.
The best in the world, apparently.
Oh, everybody used to starch their cartoon books with this stuff.
Absolutely. So when the silverfish were finished eating the starch, of course, they could devour the books. So this is what they call a duotone, which means that there's two color plates. There's a black plate and a red plate. In this case, it is a red plate. It's not cyan, so it's not full color. It's a spot color
That's
with
a carrot,
black.
carrot top there. A
And
bit of
typically, Jolliffe would make a plate in black ink where all of the red has to be, and that would be printed red over the top of the black halftone print of the artwork. Okay, so without further ado,
Well, hang
Jim,
on.
want us
That's
go into
salt. That there is Saltbush Bill.
with a
and-
pipe and a
Yeah,
hat?
and he was a farmer who lived on the bush,
Yep.
and they did it all tough.
Right.
And most of the gags are all about how tough it was to
Yep.
live in the bush in those days.
So these are like he
And all the
Jolliffe
stuff is-
drew from life. He drew.
He did, yes.
He drew farms. He used to travel around drawing
Yes.
things. So everything has an integrity, right? This trough where the
Handmade,
pigsty.
handmade.
Yeah, it's just nailed together with 4 or 5 nails. You know, the gum tree where you see it, you know, being eroded away by sun and flood or whatever. The barbed wire.
Yep.
you know,
Actually, one of the best things about looking at his cartoon was looking at the detail.
little details, and even in Saltbush himself, you know,
Yeah.
the expression, the side lighting, all of this stuff sort of very evocative and
Yeah.
you know, beautiful. Look at the little characters of the piggies,
Yeah.
the little pig's bums, full of character.
Kind
Kind of look like politicians, each one of them.
Pig's bums are full of character, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what I'm trying to say is like it's very, very well.
And this is
researched.
signed, Best Wishes, Eric Jolliffe.
Yes, this is from the collection of
Ian
Ian
McCall. That's right. He's got quite a big collection. So we'll start off with this cartoon,
So,
which is, hello, trust Jackie to turn up when there's a cup of tea on. Here they are over here making the tea, and of course the horse is out of control. And in those days, they made like a sled.
put the water in.
Yeah, and they're pulling a sled. They couldn't afford wagons and all that sort of stuff. They had a wagon.
But look how he's drawn the horse here.
Yeah.
Beautifully,
It's out of
beautifully
control.
done.
The-
Look at the musculature in this horse. You can
but
tell
look-
what type of horse it is.
Yeah, but look where those front hoofs are as opposed to back hoofs.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's
the-
more like a dog run, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's to sort of heighten the fact that it's playing.
And-
It's very playful.
And this is how they did roofs.
Yeah.
It even had a wooden chimney.
So if you wanted to research how you build log cabins
Yes.
or
Eric
with
Jolliffe.
porches,
Eric Jolliffe,
you
your
could
man.
just do this.
Yep.
Just read this.
And this is a gag about someone staying the night. He's a vicar. And see how the bed's been made? Just,
An
With-
A-frame.
yep,
Yeah.
A-frame. And
But still IKEA.
and look, there's a horse's collar.
Here's a horse's collar.
And look at that
Horses always
beautiful,
need
look
collars,
at that
don't they?
beautiful curtain and,
Yeah.
and the cowbell.
Cowbell.
Yeah, and
I don't know what that is. A notice to evict or something.
anyway, so this is and that looks like it's an old flour bag.
Flower bag with the knot. The
Yeah, and he's taken his shoe
corners
off,
knotted.
and Saltbush has come in and he's saying, "Better take this to bed with you. You'll find the skeeters are a bit fierce, parson." So you hit them with the.
Oh, he's a parson.
He's a parson, yes.
So yeah, you hit the skeeters. Are they mosquitoes?
No,
Mosquitoes?
Mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes.
But they're so big, you had to hit them
had
with,
to hit 'em with
a
that.
stick.
Yeah.
And of course, he's really impressed.
Yeah. So a lot of incredible authentic details in there. Nothing sort of made up.
Yes, and
You know?
there's another
there's
gag.
experience in here.
The Saltbush is talking to his kids saying, don't waste too much time picking up their Mulligan kids or you'll be late for school.
Yeah.
There's already 4 kids on the horse.
Right, so you've not much room for more.
That's
more.
right.
So I guess the gag is that they used to ride to school and fit
Yeah.
as many kids on like a school bus. On
Yeah,
this
that
poor
was
old horse.
the school bus because most kids walked in those days. No one had shoes.
Yeah.
And look at all the big stones on top
But
of the
again,
roof.
look at the authenticity of the details in the background. You know, the old bits and pieces, the wagon wheel,
Yeah.
the wagon of the chooks.
And this
you know,
is the
one
water
feeding.
bag. This is the water bag hanging up. See?
Right, with a water
in the,
jug.
in the shade. And there's a freshly skinned sheepskin nailed to the wall there, drying out.
Other little bits and pieces that he puts in there, it gives it authenticity. What it is when you talk about cartoons having, displaying truth, that's what it is. It's truth in the details. It's
Yeah.
the storytelling method of this man.
And here they are.
Really, really genius.
They're running the sheep through the sheep dip.
Yeah.
And he's saying to his wife, who's got all her hands, she's carrying the billy.
Yeah.
And
What's a billy? It's
a billy is what you boil
small
water
bucket.
in to make cup of teas.
So-
It's got a lid on it.
right.
When we dip the sheep, we'll run the kid through, seeing that the ticks are bad.
Yeah.
So the kids have ticks, so they're going to run the kids through the sheep dip as well.
Yeah, there are the kids with the
Yeah.
sheep. They're running around with the
Yeah.
sheep, scaring them through the fence.
Yeah.
Here's a farmhand with a looks like a cob pipe or something.
An Aboriginal farmhand, and he's
Yep.
always called
So-
Jackie,
Jackie.
which
So-
just shows you how things have changed.
Yeah. So I guess this is like very evocative, like in the same way that looking at Tom Sawyer paintings by Norman Rockwell are very evocative of details of
Yeah.
the story
And
the
of its
period
time,
of the
and
time.
of its time.
Yeah.
And here's just a gag about kids hiding. They're hiding, and he's going around getting all the wheat, and see the kids are caught up in it.
So if you were to research
which is
the
dangerous
bush
because these
of the
kids are
1940s,
Yeah.
this would be a fantastic start for you because
Yeah.
you wouldn't get this level of detail
No.
in photographs.
no, and plus, I mean, well, it's a gag because they'd be killed. There's
Yeah.
got all sorts of machine, and there's the old, and he's got 3 horses running it. It's a horse-drawn thing. It's not a machine.
Yeah.
And here they are, Merry Christmas. They've actually got a parson here with those wonderful curtains again.
With a Hitler or Blakey mustache.
Yeah, and this is the wooden chimney made
Yeah.
of wood, and she's getting the tea. There's the billy being boiled,
Right.
and there's a gun over there, of course, and the kids
She's
are all
wearing
sitting there.
boots. I guess there's an earthen floor.
Yes, and the gag is, "Hey mother," that's what he calls his wife. "Look, you got the good luck charm." And instead of
the
a little,
horseshoe.
yeah, instead of a little, it's a real
Instead
horseshoe.
of a wishbone, there's a
Well, it's a
horseshoe.
real horseshoe. It's
Right.
huge,
Did you want to show this one?
It's a
here?
Merry Christmas.
You've got a thing here. With a
Oh
slide
yeah,
across.
well, actually that's an earlier one.
There's an earlier one.
Yeah, because sorry you changed your mind about staying to lunch, parson. Seeing we're specially having poultry,
Emus.
emus, is the
Right.
poultry. And look, there's the old thing.
The
that
grinding
the kids actually have to turn it,
Ah.
and he's sharpening
It's
up
not
the
even
thing.
a pedal one.
No, and see the kids got all the flies around.
Even in the Bugs Bunny show, I think they had a pedal one.
Yeah, and
You want to show this one first? This is funny. This is funny. So let's get it into shot. I want you to see that. Let Sammy be our found cousin Welly.
Well, Sammy is the name of their pet snake, and one of the
Pet
kids,
snake.
yeah, what they're called Sammy, and one of their it's their rat catcher,
Yeah.
and one of the kids is missing.
Yeah.
So they think
thought the snake ate
and
him.
she's just about to chop its head off. and
Yeah.
he, oh, hang on, there I found him.
Yeah. But look at the authenticity. Look at the horse in the
Yeah.
background. Look at the shed.
And look, corrugated iron.
Corrugated
They must
iron.
be wealthy.
You know, with
Yeah.
with turned up bits and look
And
at the character of the trees.
All the little
and
kids
things.
holding this great big python.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is how you would describe something being lovingly done. So not only is he attempting to be funny with a joke, but the way that he's described the bush has an authenticity about it. So there's a truth in the way that he's depicted them.
Well, here they're chopping down this huge great tree, and this guy's caught underneath it, and he says, don't say you busted another axe handle, and that's all he's worried about. The guy's, because
Poor guy's underneath the tree.
Yeah, you can see where the axe is broken there.
Yeah. So, a reality check, for sure.
And we're back inside. This is the tree joke again. And it says, don't tell me you busted that blasted axe handle again, because the wife has to drag the whole bit of wood in to put it on the fire because she can't
find the axe.
That's right. And here she is carrying a huge log.
So this is a running gag.
Yeah. And there's the wooden, and the kids are sitting there doing their homework. Look.
Right.
No shoes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another gag how he's used it. And here's another one about the kids going to school.
Yep.
Sorry, can't give.
Center of the...
Sorry, we can't give yous a lift, but we're not allowed to pick up strangers. They're swaggies, and these are called blueies.
Blueies.
And there's that's their thing they sleep on. They roll it up, put it on their back, and that's their kettle. Their Billy tea for the Billy tea.
Right.
Okay.
Which was also a brand.
Yes, Billy tea. And here's another one. About the kids and the horses, the four of them, flies everywhere, but they've got a huge, great anchor because he bolted with us yesterday, Pop. And the dog's jumping up and flies everywhere.
Look at the caricature of the horse.
Yeah.
You know, not so much of the dog, strangely enough.
No.
The dogs look very simple and stylised.
Well, yes. And here's the kids on the horse again.
Yeah.
We'll keep. So here's Mum and Dad on the side of obviously a swollen creek, and there's a house going down the creek. It's a real flood. We'll keep them home from school tomorrow if the creek's running faster, just as well to play it safe. So it was a dangerous place and pretty hard going, but they make jokes with it all the time. And
so you live with
the kids
disaster.
are fishing. The kids are fishing.
Yeah.
And this kid's got a Shanghai. He's after. There's a snake. There's a snake up a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we'll pull
Slingshot.
We'll pull this over.
Yeah.
And getting back to Sammy again. So
he's a rat catcher.
You've got a visitor here,
Yeah, good.
And it's hanging from the roof. That's Sammy, our pet rat catcher. He seems to think he knows you.
A rat.
Yeah, that's right. There's the gag. Yeah, and he's probably some guy coming from the bank or something.
Oh, okay. Or a revenuer.
Yeah, and I'll just pull this one over here.
Tax man.
Yeah, here's the beds again, made of the A-frames. And the cow the cow sticks its head through the window and licks you up.
I guess the cow wants to be milked.
Yeah, that's right. And they get milked about
Green Acres moment.
5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only source of light.
Yes.
And of course you always have a horse collar hanging up because you never know when you need them in the bedroom.
The oil lantern.
Yes.
Yeah, kerosene lantern. Use kerosene and that's...
And here's another...
That keeps the mozzies away, I think.
Yeah, here's another joke about the horses and the kids.
Yeah.
And they've got an anchor. And they tossed the kellic in. The kellic. I don't know what that means. Charlie, we're time and a half hours fishing before school. So... Oh, one of the pictures fell down in the gallery.
Yep.
And here he is shearing. And he's saying, just getting my hand in before I start on them prize rams. So he practices on the kids first. They all end up with
mustaches.
Well, look, they've got scratches and everything. He's taken all the hair off. And the dog's looking at him, you know.
Get a bit of tar on there.
Yeah, and she's always carrying that parcel and the billy. And she's got cups because she brought the cups in for their afternoon tea.
Yeah.
And here's another typical gag.
Knock off. Nice bull.
Yeah, knock off, boys. Here comes the morning tea.
Right.
And he's getting chased by a bull. It's all nonchalant.
Yeah. So it's life in
the
bush.
face of danger. In the face of danger.
Making light of danger. Making light of the dangerous situations.
Yeah. And speaking of dangerous situations, there they are.
Fire.
And there's a fire on top.
Yeah.
And Jackie, who's the Aboriginal helper.
Yeah.
Saltbush is saying, stay there, Jackie. We'll hand you up a few buckets of water.
Yeah.
And he's running, but they're taking their time. And of course, he's not doing anything. He's in charge.
Yeah.
And of course, all they have to do is throw some of that stuff down. But then you lose your gag, don't you?
Yeah.
And what's this one? Yeah. Well, this is just after the war. So, and he's saying she's got a catapult, which is the what do you call them?
It's called a slingshot.
In America, but we call it a Shanghai in Australia.
Yeah.
So they're saying, move up and let Alfie be tail end Charlie. He's got the catapult. In other words, because of the gunners during the Second World War. You know?
So look at the mum here chopping wood.
Yeah, doing
poor
all
old
the work.
mum chopping that wood. Look at that pose.
And she looks like she's 50.
Fantastic.
She looks like she's 50. Oh, you want to do a close-up?
I want to zoom in on that pose. That pose is a corker. Have a look at that, folks. Can you draw that? That's brilliant. Look at the way she's swinging that axe.
Yeah, and she's over 50.
Yeah, but that's a really beautiful... So these are like caricatures in a way. They're really beautiful
Well, they're very
historical
folksy.
Documents, yes, of
Very
course.
folksy. And here's...
Very folksy.
There's always these accidents happening, and so they're rushing downhill, and
look at that beautiful horse.
and you've got the brake. He thinks he's got the brakes on. You can't even see the horse. The horse is actually dragging behind him. Don't seem no use trying to pull him up once he takes it into his head to bolt.
Yeah,
they're not bolting at all.
Yeah, they're falling.
But I think the great thing about that gag is the way the horse is. Beautifully drawn.
Yeah.
And it's, they're going to end up dead for sure. It happens in all the...
Well, not in the cartoon.
Yeah, and here he is taking a break. He's lighting his pipe, resting, while he chops out the little corner because he's replacing the stump. And he's got Jackie holding it up from, that's the water tank, obviously full of water, because that's dry.
This bloke doesn't look very happy.
No, he's under, incredible strain because there's the old rotten one.
Look at that gum tree.
Yeah, but then he says, it's pretty hot out here in the sun, Jackie. And Jackie's actually struggling here in the shade because he's lifting all that weight.
Yeah.
And this is, they're having a party. Happy New Year. Swallow it, man. Don't waste the blasted stuff.
Yeah.
And that's obviously alcohol.
So they're tapping the keg.
Yeah.
The kegs used to be wood.
Yeah.
Like in the very old days, pirate days, I guess. Triple X, I don't know what that means. Just means...
Well, it means alcohol.
Brand.
It means alcohol. That's what it means. Yeah,
Right.
it's cartoon for alcohol.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and there's a squeeze box and the music. They've got one lamp, and they're obviously
kerosene lamp.
and he's sitting in the wool basket.
The wool basket.
So they're in the shearing shed.
Oh, okay.
And just the last cartoon, which is they're walking at night, and he's just walking along, and Jackie's carrying the lantern, and they've got, look, what is it? It's wood, is it? They've been collecting wood.
I don't know.
And it says, sing out if you want to spell with the lamp, Jackie.
Yeah, so he's offering to hold the lamp, not the big load.
That's right. And of course,
That's
he's
the
not
gag.
not very happy.
And look at the
and
bunny
you've got the
here.
rabbits all running away, and there's the rabbit traps.
Yeah, look, they're looking at the trap,
Yeah, they're looking at the light because it's night time.
and there's a rabbit disappearing into the hole in the
Yeah,
stump.
yeah. And
So let's have a look at this. It's just a quick thing.
oh, the ad. You want to look at the ad?
Look at the ad. Dutex, right?
Yeah.
Dutex products, whatever that is.
Haystacks, sarking, wall covering, any size bag, made to measure.
So, in other words, they're saying, okay, who reads this magazine? People on the land.
That's right, correct.
They're saying. So there you are, Saltbush Bill. That's under the liner. Let's have a quick look at Jolliffe's colour calendar.
Years later, like this in 1991, because this was the previous book was done in the 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is there's Saltbush Bill. He looks a bit younger there.
Yeah.
And so does she. Don't know what happened. Must have been one of those dizzy spells. But there's this great big tornado that's gone off, ripping up the fence. Yeah, ripping up the fence.
Yeah.
So let's get into the colour work.
Okay, so as with the pen work before, I should actually mention to you, this is watercolour, believe it or not. It's pen and watercolour. And have a look at this years later. Again, this is pen and watercolour. This time it's colour watercolour rather than Indian ink.
And she's obviously just started to learn how to fish. And look at the size of the fish she's catching. And of course, he hasn't caught any. And she says, I think I've got the hang of it now. And there's always extremes about the bush.
Yeah, so what's important here is the way that he's depicted the bush. You can see all of the details.
Yeah.
You know, everything he's researched over the years. He knows about the bush. He knows what
Yes, there's always dead bits in the tree.
he knows what the twists and turns of the gum tree
And he's
limbs are.
And Saltbush is saying, fetch him out in the open before he injures himself. And of course, he's the one getting injured. Look at his head and his...
Oh, look at the horse.
Yeah, beautifully
Let's have
drawn.
a close-up of that. Look at that horse. Look at the action there. That. is magnificent.
He knew his horses.
Yeah, really loved his horses. And the dogs, that he put a little bit more work into the dogs.
Yeah.
So you can see the dogs have a little bit more character. So
And
these are lovely. The compositions of these, they're like the best landscape
And look at the
paintings.
old fence that's fallen down.
Where your eyes go like a tippy toe through the painting.
And that's a brand
into
new
where
ladder.
the
Look,
action
that's
is.
a brand new ladder, that, you know. It's
Yeah.
about the only brand new thing in all the book.
Yeah.
And here they are. This is the Swaggies.
Yeah,
Because
here they
over
are.
here is the house. And they're just...
Look at the stream of smoke
Yeah,
that's just
and-
blazing up, so there's not a breeze in the air.
Yeah.
And look at the campfire there.
Yeah, the
same
Swaggies
thing.
are actually underneath the
The haystack.
haystack. And the gag is...
There's a bedroll and
Yeah, and the gag is...
there's a rabbit looking
Now
on.
I'm all tucked in. Do you mind pulling out the props and lowering the haystack so they're going to bed?
Oh, he's going to lower the haystack over
Yeah,
the top like
that's
a blanket.
right.
Yeah, cool.
And there's a cow down a well, and the gag is, if it ain't your cow, boss, shall I drop her back?
Yeah. So that it's not worth the effort, I guess, if it's not your cow.
That's right. It's not your cow.
Oh,
And there's a lot of violence to animals in some of
there's
these
a
books.
there's a lovely dog.
Yeah. And look, this
Is that a rabbit
that's
in pants?
It does look like that, but it's dead.
Is it?
It's a dead rabbit.
Okay, it looks like a rabbit.
And look,
in
here's the trap here.
pants. Yeah. With
And there's something. Yeah, we don't.
Nobody knows what that is.
Well, he's got his
Half a
legs
leg.
here, and see this little thing at the. These were famous because these were at the back door, and you put your foot on that and dragged all the mud off it. So I forget
Yeah.
what it's called. But here's his salesman selling her an electric broom.
Electric broom.
Look at that gag.
Yeah.
And he says to her, and when the electricity comes through,
Yeah.
in other
So
words,
there's no electricity.
Yeah.
You're just living in hovels.
yeah,
So these are pretty good. Let's go into the characters change a little bit too, but
Yeah.
the horses and the animals, the bulls and the horses in particular,
Yeah.
were magnificent.
yeah. And here's a fire.
Here's a fire.
Which is pretty common. So there's always disasters happening, and of course, one of the guys is running away. He's because
the echidna, the snake, goanna.
Yeah, they're all running away. And look, here's the koala with the baby on the back. They're all
Spiny.
running away from the fire. And of course, this guy's jumped on the back of a kangaroo,
Like
and he
a
says,
jockey.
"Don't quit now, Smedley, or you'll never forgive yourself."
Yeah.
And that's how they fought fires with
sticks.
broom-like things with bags on the end of them.
Bags on the end. Yeah, good.
And this is just a gag about she's wearing a fox.
Foxes
And
and hounds.
the dog doesn't recognise it.
Yeah. But again, you get all these little things in the background that make it worthwhile.
And here's the bark
look at
court.
Yeah, look
know,
at
the
this
bark that's-
stringy bark. This is stringy
Yeah,
bark.
yeah.
So stringy bark falls down in big strips like this.
Yeah, dumb dog does remember a fox fur I've been wearing for ages.
Yeah,
And of course, there's always sausages.
all the shopping. Yeah.
Yeah,
So another gag with a hay bale.
yeah. And of
hay
course,
wain or
he
whatever
throws
you
it
call
so high, he says, "Another lunar probe, Mullins." So it's obviously things have moved on.
So this is the 90s.
Yeah, that's right. And another out of control horse. Don't just sit there, lift your leg back over the shaft,
Yeah.
which is almost impossible to do. And look at the wood getting bent.
So he really knows how to draw horses. He
does.
Actually, I think that his early work of the people are a little bit better.
Yeah,
These
these are
more
rushed.
shorthand.
These are rushed, yeah.
But
And
these,
this is just a gag about, hey mum, what now? I mean, it's just an excuse to put a koala in it, I think.
Yeah, very cartoony.
Yeah,
Very cartoony koala. Less characterization than this.
yeah.
This sort of thing.
Well,
And
he's-
look at those beautiful.
There's a lot of shorthand in this book,
Characters.
in the new book.
Yeah. So I prefer the old stuff, of course, under the lino.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
And he also, this is an ad for a book he did on crocodiles.
Crocodiles.
And there's
That's
this-
a beautiful crocodile, but,
Yeah, but look-
unfortunately he's running like a
Like a dog.
Like a dog.
Yeah, and of course he's got this guy with his leg in it, and the dog's, the Aboriginals
Beating him on
bashing
the
him
head.
over the head.
Yeah. All right, so that's what we have for you under the lino. Saltbush Bill, cartoon fun on the farm by Jolliffe.
Okay, and we'll have to get some real lino and lift it up, but it's hard to get the lino, you know.
We'll get some fake cockroaches, so I
Okay.
wouldn't worry too much.
Oh, and just a little bit about him. He was born in 1907, and
When
he
did he
died.
die?
He died in 2001, so he
Oh.
was 94.
Right.
And he didn't actually take up drawing. When he finally went to art school, all the teachers said he was terrible and he'd never make a quid.
Well, what do you think, folks? Do you think he's terrible and never made a quid? I reckon he's brilliant. This, the caricature, the amount of detail, the fun that he had in depicting the bush just says it all.
Yep.
All for a shilling.
Okay, all right. Bye-bye.
I'm Franz Cantor for Toon Talk, and I'm here with Danny Zemp, a great Australian cartoonist, and we're going to be shooting the breeze.
Welcome, friends, to my humble home.
So, Danny, how many years have you been a cartoonist?
Many years. I've been drawing a lot of them when I was younger, and since I stopped working as an arborist, I've done it full time.
And you work both digitally and on paper, so you're competent in watercolors or color pencils or pens and brush pens.
I don't particularly like watercolor, but I can use them. I'm not a big fan of them because the brushes are not necessarily my favorite thing. If it goes brushes, it's brush pens and fairly stiff ones too. So I work with a heavy hand. So what do you call ham-fisted?
Okay.
But I do work a lot on paper. Hence, you got.
Let's go for it.
You got a lot of the comic books or sketchbooks I have from all over the place. So they fill up fairly quickly with sketches, especially when you have these.
Let's have a look.
They come up on as a sketch. And then they get scanned in, and I'll finish them off digitally these days.
Okay. Do you want to go through one, or any particular sketches that you want to?
I'm not sure which ones
show us how it ends up.
There's a caricature of a famous cartoonist as well.
Who's that?
Robert Black.
Oh, okay.
Or recent ones. So just try to work out if I have a recent one just here. I got them on Procreate. I use that throughout the week because I haven't always the time to
use Photoshop.
No, Photoshop is not always that easy to use. I just can't find that one. Because there's so many, like this one here. These few lines, they're really hard to work out what they are. And this is the corresponding ending.
Wow.
Picture. Again, quite simple. And just a little joke. Just for the fun of it. The theme was ice bear. And I thought, why not using a Titanic heading for an ice?
Instead of an iceberg. Ice bear.
Yes.
Great.
So I love playing with words, and if I get a chance to actually get away with it, which is not always.
Which is a cartoonist's job, really.
Oh, my wife hates me for that.
Just explore different possibilities, and if you find something funny in a turn of phrase.
Yes, my wife usually goes, "Oh, shut up now." But you see the funny lines in a lot of everyday situations, and I think that's the part of what we do all the time. We see the world in a different way.
In a better way.
In a better way, in a funny way. I mean, it can be serious, and you can make fun out of a serious situation.
Have you got any examples on your in your library that we can have a look at?
Well, there's
pretty.
Well, I make the fun out of the CFA, for example. Where the beginning of the fire season, we need to clean out our wood heaters, and this one was quite simple. The guy really tries hard to get his fire going whilst he doesn't even know his roof is on fire. The CFA is knocking down the door trying to get in to extinguish his house where he's still trying to get his fire going. So it's one of these things, clean out your flue. There was another one that I did about the CFA the other day where they wanted to get into their own place. So the CFA volunteers rock up at the Hillsville station. And they couldn't get in because there was a power outage. So how ironic is that?
Right.
Again, it is quite serious. But you're taking the mickey out of what's happening in the real world.
So the message about the safety is still there, but you can remember it better. I guess absorb the information more, I think, because of the humor.
I would think so, yes. Because you're not just reporting on a story, you're highlighting a particular issue, a particular problem that was the case. And this one was, there was a power outage, it burned out some circuits and the workshop caught on fire.
Yeah.
They wanted to get in, they couldn't.
Yeah.
And their equipment got smoke damage. Not an awful lot of damage happened to the building itself, but it is just ironic how technology helps us to get into a place, like secure.
So sometimes that's almost a black humour script.
It is.
It's like it's a real story, but it's like it's written by somebody with a dark sense of humour, you know, which is interesting.
Oh, I do have a dark sense of humour.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should see some of that. Is that?
I don't have a lot of it on here.
Yep.
I've got tons of stuff on the other computer. This is my little computer I work with when I don't want to work on the big one.
Yep.
But talking about dark humour, that's just...
some of your influences.
Yes.
So let's show us some of that. So this is
from Franquin.
Franquin. So people that are not too familiar with the name, it's spelt Franquin. So if you were to Google him, all of these great things will come up. So some of he's responsible for. Gaston is his design, his character.
It's his character. He's a page boy at an office. No, he's like a go-getter at an office at the printing, like a cartoon
copy boy
office. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's not really doing anything other than annoying everyone else.
Yeah, like Jimmy Olsen.
Yes. Yeah. And he's got these, I don't know, I'm just picking a page, but to me, they're just super, super funny because he's got this fluid design and this craziness in his pictures. They're just fantastic to watch, and you can watch them 1,000 times, and every time you find something new to cackle on about.
Yeah.
I mean, there's details in his switchboard.
So you keep finding new details even after many years and many readings.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes out a good cartoonist in a way, that you can find a picture amusing many times after you've seen it for the first time.
Yeah. Why is that? Is the cartoon? I mean, oftentimes the cartoonist doesn't realise how inventive he's been in the process. Maybe
there's a possibility. I think it comes down to how you portray life into the picture. It's like a real life situation, and you bring that in a funny way, and you bring in details that might translate later on into the story again.
There's a lot of people regard good cartoons as having some kind of relevant truth, some truth in it. So I take that to believe that truth is not like white and black, but it's more a case of something that feels true, like details that feel true. You mentioned like buttons on a radio or something like that. And, when the cartoonist comes up with an invention, that it's not as simple as just plonking shapes down. It's having to think about the style of buttons or the actual, telling some form of story that goes beyond the actual slapstick or the actual gag itself. You're creating a world after all.
Yes.
With your stories.
It brings your experience in as well, as you were talking about buttons like the old TVs.
Yeah.
They don't just go click.
No.
They go cluck.
Yeah.
And you bring that in with a little word. You got the action where you actually has to turn the elbow and you see the word cluck. It's there. So it's a heavy-handed action.
So every single thing, every element in there is not a throwaway. It's all part of it. They all have. It's all part of the cartoonist's attention to detail
and the storytelling,
and invention. Yeah,
because you want to tell a story. You want to tell how I see this particular action happening. I want to tell you how he's struggling with this movement. For me, a classic of the Gary Larson is School for Gifted Children. It says pull, and the kid there is pushing. I mean, he's putting all the effort into pushing, and it's such a simple way of.
It's a simple gag, but he's played it for all it's worth by having those details in there that you sort of play over and over and over in your mind, and it's just sort of like this is the funniest thing I've ever seen, you know.
And I cackle on every time I see it because it's just...
I remember my father, who grew up on English cartoons, like very simple English cartoons, beachside postcards and stuff. And they're very obviously, you know, funny and slapstick, but he really enjoyed Larson cards. And I remember one birthday, I think it was his last birthday, I gave him a Larson card and it was called the Boneless Chicken Ranch, and he found it hilarious. It was just the name flopping on the ground, you know, they had no bones, right? They'd grown boneless. But it was just an incredible pun, and the combination of that, and I think it had people, either a driver or a farmer or something in the picture, but even the expressions on the chickens, you know, when they're just flopped on the ground, it just a complete concert of ideas that complement each other and just help the gag. They just help the joke.
Yeah, well,
you know?
we all complain.
Oftentimes, the simple. I mean, I do like simple cartoons too, but with simple lines and things. But even in their simple lines, there's something that's quirky and inventive that you know, expresses the character, I guess, of the artist. Dare I say, it's the cartoonist. It's, you know, Francois's personality coming through here in these drawings, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's the beauty of it. I love that's why cartoons work. They have a triple bang. They have a triple layer. They affect, you know, that's the joke. That's funny. That's great. There's also the effect that it has on the reader, but also be aware of, you know, the choices that the artist has made to create this story, you know, is part of the magic.
Yes, absolutely. I love Francois because he has this personalised touch to it. Of course, he doesn't work in this sort of environment day in, day out, but he sees all these funny things happening.
Yeah.
This poor guy. I mean, again, a Christmas tree that's been disused.
Yeah.
And he'll find another way to actually use his stuff and glue back the needles that fell off.
Yeah.
Of course, things go wrong, and the glue gun explodes, and all the
he
needles
gets covered with the needles.
Exactly. So he becomes the Christmas tree for the future.
Christmas tree.
But that's how I look at it. And Francois has a very dark sense of humour.
He does, yeah. I'm more familiar with his silhouettes, where they've used it a little bit over here. The silhouette actually gives you the concept of the readability of the contour of the characters of the cartoons, telling a story with nothing but a shape.
Yes.
Nothing but an outline. And it doesn't seem, it's not as easy as you first think, because you're really relying on extreme gift of acting and perhaps even pantomime of exaggeration, so that you're telling a story with very, very little information at all.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's so inventive and funny.
And it is a bit of acting out too, so you see all these lines. You've got to draw the whole character in a way.
Yeah.
It's not just like making a blob. He's got the details of the jacket and so on. That's all
so
in there.
you can tell who it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of an art in it. It's
so. Apart from Francois, I mean, the other artists in your bookshelf that you refer to. Now, these are not necessarily, when you say referencing or like a influence, it's not necessarily like copying a style, is it? It's sort of getting, finding why you like that person or why you like that joke, and then try to find a way of enjoying it all over again in a fresh way, but this time you're the artist.
Yes, exactly.
So
I got Frank Magerin.
Yeah.
He's also a Franco-Belgian artist.
Yeah.
They have just a style that appeals to me. I find their humour attractive.
Yeah.
And I can read them over and over again and find them funny. And that's what I try to re-portray into my work as well. So these stories...
Simple stories.
Yes, they don't need to be from the future. They don't need to be exotic and like not even big storytelling.
Yeah.
The story comes to you. It talks to you. It's your life almost that comes back.
Yeah.
Not that I have a life like this poor guy in a bar all the time, but it is down to the simplicity. I mean, this poor guy is eating out of like a little chewing gum machine.
Yeah.
Why would it be like that? Well, he's a skinhead to start off with, so he smashes everything. So once something's smashed, you might as well eat the content. So it's a simple thing of looking at stuff. And Frank has always drawn in a way that is very, very basic and straightforward, but always funny.
Yeah.
And you can see that it comes from real life.
Yeah.
He can't really make up that stuff. And
I love these opening character panels.
Yes.
That this sort of remind me a lot of Wiz and what is it? The English comics.
Iffies and
and also like early black and white merry melodies and silly symphonies and all of that sort of thing, but they're introducing a character in that sort of fashion.
I never really gotten into the English ones. I found them quite crude at times and
They
rude.
can be, yeah.
They're interesting to read, not my favourite.
If you're not very good with English, stay away from the English comics.
Yes.
Because they make fun of their dialects, the Cockney accents and the Scottish accents and things.
But so do these guys.
Yeah.
Every country makes fun of their
its
own language.
Dialect,
Talking about dialects, I have this one. You probably never heard of him, Mike van der Ouwen. He's from Zurich.
Yep.
And unfortunately passed away a bunch of years ago.
Yep.
And he used to draw a weekly page for the local newspaper.
Yep.
And he's done 10 of these books.
Yep.
And to me, they just...
great.
I love this one because...
it's a yawn.
It's a
that
yawn.
Spreads through a crowd
So
on a
it's
train platform.
It's like the next person catches in, the next person catches in. So he goes to the platform. When you're reading and you go, what the hell is he going on about?
On and on and on. See how he plays it out. This is the other aspect of a cartoon or a comic where you can actually stretch time.
Yes, and at the end, on the opposite side of the platform, the guy goes, "Ole," and that was the 7:30 Mexican wave of yawn.
Yeah.
And then you finally realise what the joke was all about.
Yeah.
But the characters are played out so
beautifully. Yeah.
almost whimsical in a way, but
Yeah.
you could sympathise with him.
Well, he stretched the joke out. He had instead of having one short panel, he's stretched the joke out. He's played it out beautifully, And then the punchline is just so much more stronger.
It just works out perfectly because when you're reading it from top to bottom, well, like most people, reading a cartoon is like opening a page, scan it over and see what the joke's about and then probably go into the details.
Yeah.
You do that to this page and you have got no bloody idea. You look at it and go, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
So you're forced almost to actually read the punchline or pay more attention. When you read the punchline, you go, hang on, what is that about? And then you go through the details of it and then you realise what's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And
so it's a much more of an experience.
Absolutely, and he has done that so well throughout his career, his short career, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's like this guy here.
Yeah.
He's an old guy meeting a dog, and he knows his name, and hasn't seen him for a long time, and they keep chatting on and on and on.
Yeah.
And at the end, he's actually
someone else's dog.
He's someone else's dog, and he goes, "You know more about my dog than you know about myself."
Yeah.
So he's getting a bit upset about it. If you think about it, it happens a lot. You see people in the park and they're chatting on with their dog, and how's he going? But you forget about the human behind the dog.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. So there sometimes cartoons are observations of life that you find whimsical or funny. And the observation of that. Not all cartoons have to be funny. They don't have to have a punchline.
No.
But I think there's a truth in it. There's that truth because of the details and the resonance. It sort of comes from a life experienced, and it's reflected in this.
Yes.
It's a beautiful way of doing it.
I see myself quite often. You go down into town, you have a coffee somewhere, and you don't need to be with anyone. You just sit down and watch people.
Yeah.
I love doing that. I love to see the way they walk, interact with each other, what they wear, what sort of hairstyle they do. To me, it's just a fascinating world.
Exactly, because they all imply stories. They all have stories that when you see them walking and talking, you become aware of their different experiences of life, different to yours, which makes that much more interesting.
Yes.
People equate it to sticky beak, being a sticky beak, listening in on other people's conversations. But I find it very entertaining to do that.
I love it.
Because you're learning a lot about human nature, which also teaches you about yourself.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's very entertaining because these are little stories. These are stories.
Every face has a story. Every slurge, every walk, every movement has a story in it.
Yeah.
And I found myself actually apologising to other people in a restaurant and going, I'm sorry, I don't mean to stare at you.
Yeah.
I'm a cartoonist. I just find people interesting. I find situations interesting.
Exactly.
So if you sit still for long enough, I'll draw you.
Yeah.
So be aware of that. And I bring that back into my drawings quite a lot. What you see about how people stand there.
Yeah. Well, do you want to show us some more of your work?
Sure. When you look at
some more of the drawings, the stories that you...
I just have this one here, recently done.
The elephants, did we go... Show me that. Yeah. So the idea for this joke, right, came from... This is a challenge?
Well, we have it on Facebook, as I call Faceplant.
Yeah.
It's a weekly challenge where a bunch of illustrators come together, and the task or the challenge was elephant, rhino, hippo. It's
either or.
So to make it a bit broader for everyone to draw something, they can pick one of them.
Yeah.
I just couldn't separate them. And when I did that, can't separate them, you might as well bring them closer together.
Yeah.
And here we have a traffic jam.
Look at those. Oh, beautiful. Look at those expressions.
Well, it's not that hard, these expressions, because they're only googly eyes, but you still manage to get the elephant's eyes. The pupils are not in the line, so he's a bit confused on what's happening.
Yeah.
The rhino realised someone ran into the back of him, and the hippo is a bit embarrassed about not being able to stop in time. So, so you got three different reactions.
Yeah.
Mind you, the monkey up on top of the tree, he's cackling. He
I didn't even see him. Yeah.
Oh, great! So I have a little Easter egg hidden away.
You've got an Easter egg.
If I'd have more time to draw these, you can flesh them out and bring so much more detail into it. But this day and age, our lives are busy. So we're trying to cram in as much as we can for the short period of time we have.
Yeah.
So
do you want to show us some more of your...
These are just very, very recent ones. I have, like, bringing tools to life.
Yes.
So this is...
They call it anthropomorphic, which means giving human characteristics to objects.
And to me, it's very, very simple. This was...
of course it is.
Honestly,
it's a natural thing for cartoonists.
Yes, it has to be.
Yeah.
So what it was, that's the same sort of challenge.
Yeah.
It was called inanimate.
Inanimate, yeah.
So what do we do? I have this quill.
Yeah.
And
where is he? There he is.
Right in the middle.
Oh, look at that, yeah.
And he's a bit of the monarch of drawing tools. He's a nib. And
the master.
A bit of the master, yeah. He's doing the calligraphy and all the fancy things.
Yeah.
Whereas the pencil is doing just the sketching, you know.
Yeah.
And the crayon is doing a bit of the colouring, and then maybe this little guy over here.
Yeah.
He's more of a biro.
Yeah.
But
you've given him a little...
I gave him a bit of a fancy moustache.
Mustache, yeah.
And so they're all in awe about what's happening there with the drawing of the quill.
Yeah. The eraser looks a little bit bemused.
Oh, he's going to erase the shit out of it again.
Yeah. So he's like waiting for his chance to rub out all the work.
Yes. So it's easy. It's easy for me to actually add a couple of googly eyes, and in this case, it was more of bringing the natural.
It's more than adding googly eyes. I mean, they're all referencing expressions and things. Often when like what I tell my students, the animators mainly, but sometimes the drawers too. I say, when you're trying to draw an expression or a pose or something, if you get up out of your chair and assume the pose, you try to, you will absorb a lot more of the action or the expression. Like animators often use mirrors, even digital animators use mirrors on their shaving mirrors on their desk, so that they can bring something of themselves, their own personality or their own expressions into the character that they're drawing.
I think
even tiny little ways, but it adds another layer of context.
Well, we all do, and I think when I draw, I don't need to act it all out, but in a way I do. I draw someone serious, so I become more of a serious drawer, so my face frowns up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or if I draw someone happy and I feel happy about drawing, I need to smile at that drawing. I mean, my facial expressions are hidden by a moustache, so looking at the mirror is kind of pointless.
Sure.
But I can still make the mimic.
Yeah.
And I can see myself.
Yeah.
Like your hand expression when you have a certain way of feeling it, or your arms. You sort of...
Yes.
You don't need to see it, but you can still feel the way you... Yeah. How would I go if I want to hit someone? So your elbow goes up. So sometimes you just need to feel how it goes rather than seeing it.
Exactly right. And that'll give you enough of an angle to explore another level of truth or possibility with the cartoon, with the character.
This is as far from the truth as it can be, in a way, because it is such a...
They're not human.
No, it's not. But
you're attaching human qualities to them.
Yes.
But even then, you're having fun. The way that they're bent, the way that they're exaggerated poses and things, they're fun because I can see you enjoying the process. I can see you in these objects.
Okay. Who am I?
Well, I think you're the eraser. That's you. Well, that could be me. But you're that. You're the
the one with the moustache with a sneaky look.
No, what I mean to say was it's more a case of applied observation.
Yes.
Even tiny little bits of, layer, tiny little bits of detail, so that it's not just symbols that you're using, You're coming up with fresh ideas for every problem. With every idea, there's a new set of rules, blank white paper, and you've got a whole set of new things to think about.
It's like with caricatures as well.
Yeah.
You can draw, the same person can come in.
Yeah, show me the caricatures.
Which one would you like?
Well,
did we have
Kumar? This one there with the short hair. Oh, the beard. Is that yours? That one there, next to the goat.
This one? No, that's just a sketch.
That's a sketch, okay.
We sketch all the time.
Okay.
I think I got myself into here.
All right.
Accidentally. But you're actually drawing the way you see yourself, not the way other people see you.
Yeah.
So
this is an exaggerated you.
Of course, but we all exaggerate ourselves.
Yes.
The way we see ourselves.
It's just a way of entertaining yourself while you're doing the process.
Yeah, of course. When you do caricaturing, it depends on the mood you're in. Depends on how the mood is of the person you're drawing.
Yeah.
You change every time. You can draw the same person 3 times in the same day, and they all look different.
Yeah.
It's not that you want to draw them different. It's just because the mood is different. You might be tired. You might find yourself exhausted. The person has just said something funny or different, or a gesture they made, and so you change the way people look within minutes sometimes. And that's what makes it beautiful when you do live caricaturing.
Yeah. Oh, you've got a live caricature here too?
Not here. I do.
Yeah.
But it was only because I had to wait for a long time at an office, and there were people.
Okay. So you had time then to draw it.
Yes, and then
photograph the pencil. Or?
I didn't. I was just a very quick one. There were a couple of people sitting there, and I just quickly sketched them up. And they were looking at my hands all the time, so they were quite amused, and they liked what I did.
They liked the end result?
They loved it. And again, it's big eyes, big noses don't really represent a caricature. I mean, I gave him tiny eyes because the size of his face.
It's your impression.
Yes.
Really. It's what impresses you. You know, if somebody has it's not caricatures should never be about a set number of rules or set process of first make the head bigger than the body, then make the ears bigger than the head, then make the nose bigger, etc., etc. It should be about observation, fresh every time you look at it.
It's the person that sits on the opposite side that determines who you are or who they are.
Yeah.
A very basic one was done of Al Rose.
Al Rose, yeah.
And his famous bush pigs.
Yeah.
It is a very simple one. It's not even too exaggerated.
No.
But then you have other people where
it still has a very cool shape and balance. It's nice. It's very cool.
It is to me it's a simple one, a nicer one.
Yeah.
Whereas I can be quite cruel with this guy.
Yeah.
Again, he's a friend on Facebook.
Yeah.
I just distort his face.
Yeah.
Because he had that quirkiness to him in that personality.
So are you basing this on one photograph, or are you basing this on knowing him, or how are you doing
I based that on how he portrayed himself in a story or in a post he had.
This is something I've noticed a couple of your caricatures bending into almost like they're doing a selfie or something. They're bending into the camera.
It's a bit like our personality when we want to be photographed and go. We sort of stand outside the frame, and then we
bend into the frame.
We want to come into the picture. Hello, how are you going? So
exactly,
it's a bit like that.
This is I haven't never seen this happen before. This is you though.
Well,
this is you. You've invented this.
I'm thinking outside the box, and why do we have everyone?
Straight up and down.
Straight up and down.
Have some novel way of
sometimes
of
we're
doing
sitting
the
a bit crooked here, or we're hanging over, or we're looking through a door and go, what's this like? And
I love it. I love it.
So
it's a great. I love it. It's got a lot of, especially because you've got the orange shape around it. It's established. What do you call it? Balance. And negative space. Compositionally. Beautiful.
I like a bit of a background colour. Sometimes it's quite crude and basic.
If he wasn't, if he was somebody, you'd probably put him on a T-shirt.
I could. What an ugly face on a T-shirt.
I know.
But I've done it with another artist in a similar way. They were done very close together.
This is a theme.
No, it's just completely.
I can see this happening. This is. You should have an exhibition of this for sure.
I don't know, but to me it's just more about bringing that person in. Where do we come from? A bit sideways. We're all a bit quirky in our own rights.
Yeah.
So we're trying to...
she's an artist, this girl? Or
yes, she is.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah. You don't need to tell us who it is.
No. I'll leave that. Nice. Someone will find out who she is.
Yeah.
But when I draw her, quite often I draw a line like this, like a big J.
Yeah.
And this is a starting point for me to just draw. It doesn't mean...
Why is... Have you got the drawing?
I have the basic of the sketch on this unit sitting here.
Ah, magic. Yeah.
But that's just the basic sketch. And you can't see, but the line will be in here and it will go something along this line to there. Of course, I can't draw on a hidden layer. Computers. They do my head in sometimes. But they're good, useful tools.
That's really inventive. I love it. So when you put the orange shape in the background, were you conscious of locking it into a composition?
I usually chuck it in the background, but if you feel like you want to watch what's happening here, I can show you the whole process.
Let's have a look. This is great.
This is Procreate, and I'm plugging this.
It is a bit of
playback of how I draw, and it's quite often how I start sketching as well. That doesn't mean I start with the eyes or with the shape.
You just happen to
or the nose.
Yeah.
To me, it's where I feel comfortable starting the drawing.
Yeah.
I can start with the nose.
Ooh, yeah.
But
basic colour, first wash.
I chuck in the basic colour to see actually where I'm heading. I don't usually change a lot of the colours once they're in.
Yeah.
And then I add the shading and take some colours out again. It is a simple process for me. And
that's beautiful. Yeah. It does a replay.
Well, no, because I changed it, so it records the changes in the layers at the end as well. So I chuck them back in again.
Yeah.
There we go. So it should pick that up again. So it's a handy little program when you don't want to work on a big computer.
Yeah.
And
well, you use it well.
Well, I have fun with it, and I suppose to me this is a tool.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I use these fellas.
Yeah.
An eraser like me.
Yeah.
That's you. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
I feel as comfortable on the paper as I am with these.
With appropriate.
And I think with
Apple Pencil.
Yeah, with Apple. I just work with Apple because we've got all the computers.
Yeah.
But it's not set in stone that I have to work with that. I work with Photoshop quite proficient. I got a few other programs like Sketch Pro or something like that. It is like a contingency plan. If the big computer goes on the blink, I can use this.
Yeah.
If that goes on the blink at the same time, I still have my skills to work on paper. When I work with ink on paper, I call it the adventure of mistakes.
Yes.
And it's the way
you just sometimes use mistakes.
Well, you have to, because ink is a pain in the ass when you really work with it with proper ink and nibs, and I got a few of them up there.
Yeah.
It's a different beast.
Yeah.
And it can leave you a blob, and then you're going to work with the blob. Or the lines, you overmark the lines, go over where you want to be. So you just continue working with it. But I enjoy the work with nibs and traditional inks as much as I do working with a computer, because it's a different beast.
Wow.
And it's a different approach to the drawing as well. Doesn't mean it's better or worse, it just means it gives you a slightly different result.
Yeah. So it's just another process, another tool, set of tools.
Another tool, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it gives me the flexibility.
Exactly. You should be proficient in both and not be picky.
Yes.
Not say, I'm only digital, or I'm only, real world or analog. I could just call it analog.
If you only can make pastas, it makes a boring life, doesn't it? So you want to create a roast or something exotic for every now and then.
Fantastic.
That's the same
roast
thing.
By any other name would be Photoshop. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Photoshop is again, every program has its drawbacks, or every tool has its drawbacks.
Yeah. So you just work with the knowledge that those are the parameters. Those are what you have to deal with.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And it shouldn't be a frustration. You should work within those rules.
Yes. And I change them around a lot. So I work this morning on this, and then I work with Photoshop this afternoon.
Yeah.
It keeps me flexible, and if I make a mistake, I'll change around, learn it. So I'm always up to date with what's happening.
Fantastic.
So that makes me versatile. So if one thing doesn't work and I'm on a deadline, I can quickly switch over to something else.
All right. Okay. Well, I think that wraps it, Danny. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Come in anytime.
Okay. Bye-bye. What's an anthropomorph? What do you think?
Have you got it right way around? Is it like that? Oh, there it is. That makes much more sense.
Okay, so what does it actually mean? It actually means assigning human characteristics to non-human characters, like animals and products.
And politicians.
Well, they're not animals. I wouldn't classify them as any species.
Oh, okay.
So anthropomorphics are like the bread and butter, I suppose, for a lot of cartoon companies. from Disney onwards. So think Yogi Bear. He has human characteristics. He's smarter than the average bear, right? Or Mickey Mouse. Are you going to do a Mickey Mouse? Hello, Pluto. So, hello, Pluto. So he's a mouse, and he has button breeches and white opera gloves. Nobody knows why he's got white opera gloves.
With one finger missing.
With one finger missing. But the whole idea of it is to attach these human-like characteristics to things. Now, I've got very strong views about this. I don't know about you, but
hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Anthropomorphic.
How do you know they're opera gloves?
Well, I'm presuming they have these 3 little ridges.
Oh, that explains it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So either he's moonlighting as the Phantom, or
back on track.
Anyway, so anthropomorphic cartoon characters or anthropomorphic characters are characters that have human characteristics. So obviously, 90% of cartoons have anthropomorphic qualities. I was just looking at Goofy yesterday. So the whole of Goofy's world are dogs. And even when he has other dogs in the film, they're dogs. So his culture, his species are human-like dogs, but there are still dogs in his world, which is kind of weird. Getting off the track.
But he wears trousers. Donald Duck doesn't.
One of the most interesting things about anthropomorphic cartoon characters is not so much that they're used for animals. I mean, we'll talk more about that later on.
Can we have some examples?
But we want to actually talk about anthropomorphic designs or anthropomorphic characters assigned to objects, like things, like products. It's been like a great source of inspiration for advertising, obviously, over the years. These are some, what is this, like Flying Friends? This is sort of like an airplane jelly type of character, right? So it's an airplane with a face. Think Disney's Cars and Planes, right? So it's the same sort of thing. Human characteristics applied to objects.
There's a self-licking ice cream.
Now, it's a really interesting area to delve into because of the variety that you can get into. I mean, these look like they're out of that Brave Little Toaster film, don't they? They're sort of takes on that. There's another Brave Little Toaster.
Another Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah.
Well, is it time to go to Monty Webb?
Let's have a look at some other products.
Okay, all right. Well, with simple objects.
Yeah.
Simple objects like a pencil.
So, like a pencil, right? I mean, very simply put, okay, you put arms and legs on things. The minute you do that, you attach personality to them. Inside every single cartoon character that you can ever create is a story waiting to be unwrapped, right? And so you unwrap the story and tell the story in comics and animation and games and other forms of narratives that can actually tell the story that the character is suited for. Irrespective of whether or not there is a property behind the character, all cartoon characters have
now I can run away with the spoon, but the spoon doesn't look too impressed, does she?
Yeah, so, it could be as simple as this, but looking for opportunities to make faces is a psychological, there's something about humans, I'm not sure about mammals, but definitely humans have the ability to empathize with creatures around them. That's why we have pets. So it's a natural form, and I think we do this from birth. We do this from childhood. We attach personalities to things. And
this is interesting. Money with teeth. We'll show money later on.
So you can put faces and characters onto any kind of object. So the opportunities available to you are endless. This is what I'm saying. And in the early days of advertising, of course, they couldn't afford celebrities. There weren't many celebrities around. This is 100 years ago. There weren't many sports people around, again, 100 years ago. So what did they do? They created characters around the actual products that they sold. So if they brought out a tin of car polish, for example, then how they would get leverage in the market with the making it memorable, making their product stand out from the crowd and be memorable to the consumer, and to imply a story far beyond the actual product story itself, is they created cartoon mascots around the product. So when you think of things like, for example, in Australia we have Mortine, the mascot for Mortine for many years, since the 40s or 50s I think, has been Louis the Fly.
Louis the Fly, Louis the Fly.
Yeah, so Louis the Fly really made the product stand out on the shelves and become memorable. It created a story bigger than the actual product itself. So it outlives the product. These mascots are perennial. These mascots outlive the products. That's what I'm saying. So, advertisers out there, if you're thinking of hiring a celebrity, celebrities have feet of clay. Obviously, sportsmen have feet of clay. You get caught out with drugs and scandals and yada yada yada. But cartoon characters are perennial. They last forever, and they don't take drugs.
They don't take. That's correct. You can't sack them, can you?
Yeah. So
this is the battle of the phones.
Yeah. So having human characteristics. Who did this? This is illustration from magazine Tetuan.
Yes.
This is nice. So yeah, some of those phones you probably not familiar with.
Yeah.
Outside of old 30s movies.
And this is the best way to teach how to draw, using a pencil that talks to you.
The talking pencil,
yeah,
like the talking paperclip.
Yeah. Hide it until you can draw it. So, for instance, if you can't draw hands, this guy's struggling with all those parcels, just don't draw them. Sneaky way.
So it really depends upon you. I mean,
And here's another one. If you don't know how to draw feet, just put a fence in between them. All these sneaky things to get around things.
Yeah. Well, that's.
And if you can't draw hands,
common sense, isn't it?
Have his hands behind his back while he whistles.
Yeah. That's common sense.
We're going to cut to.
So let's have a look at this. Okay, this in particular, right? I wanted to talk a little bit about this.
Yes.
Now, dollar bill is the mascot for the decimal currency changeover in 1966, February 14th, 1966, and it was actually a little jingle that they used to help you memorize it. This is what he looks like, and apparently, we're not sure about this, apparently he was designed by Monty Webb, but certainly in this comic strip, this is a Monty Webb comic strip. So in a series of comic strips and matchbook covers and other point of sale things, little strips and posters and things, Dollar Bill would talk about the changeover, right? And try to sort of dumb down the process so that you could easily translate pounds, shillings, and pence to dollars and cents in a painless way. So the character is quite unique. I mean, first of all, I've never seen a dollar bill. We didn't. This is before we had the dollar coin. So I've never seen a dollar bill rolled up outside of drug references. Now you've got to remember this is 1966, but look at the S here. The bottom part of the S forms a nose quite nicely, although it goes in the opposite direction in this case. Probably more fitting over on this side if it was flipped, because it is supposed to be like an S for dollar.
And he sings a song. He sings a song, and that's it. That's his
that's
guitar.
a dollar sign as well.
That's his guitar.
So they're trying to get you. Not that anybody could remember even back then what a pound symbol looked like, but they're trying to get you to remember the actual symbol of the dollar, so that you never talk again about pounds, shillings, and pence. So some of the other mascots, you can see these here. These are from the drive-in movie, like Let's All Go to the Lobby, which is a little jingle to remind you to eat food. So all food traditionally, since the 1880s or something, food have traditionally been used as cartoon characters to sell hot dogs and popcorn and liver pills or whatever. They've been used specifically to sort of give friendly characters to the products. Here's a later version, of course, that's from Sausage Party, which is like an R-rated version of a send-up of this, and this is a shot from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which was a kind of a show loosely put together on the premise of the lobby food. So getting back to Dollar Bill, now the idea of an anthropomorphic character is you give the character some personality. So you basically construct the character very simply, right? So let's just draw something. I'm drawing at a disadvantage here because of the angle that I have to, I'm forced to sort of work at. But it's the best way of drawing characters, even anthropomorphic characters, is to simplify them. At the same time, you're creating a more detailed form over the top, but based on very simple construction methods of a very simple object that's not too scary to draw.
But just bunging a few eyes on it generally does the job, doesn't it?
No, not completely.
No, not completely, but it just, people look at houses and they think, oh, that's a face. They look at the windows and say, oh, they're the eyes, and the front door is the mouth, depending on the design of the house.
Yeah. Well, it's the whole thing of, as I said before,
and
we attach human characteristics to things.
Some cars actually look very human. Some designs of cars look very human.
Yeah. Some designs of cars with the placement of the headlights and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the VW Beetle, they call it the Beetle. It look like a beetle, but they actually enhance it to look more like a beetle, I think.
Made a mistake with the hand, I think. We'll turn it around the other way.
A rubber on our show.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't like the position of the hand. I'm trying to work out the... I have to turn it a little bit. What would be the best way to... Yeah. So I'm working at a disadvantage because of the angle. But bear with me for a sec. Now, the idea of anthropomorphic characters, as I said to you before, it gives life to the product. Now, I've had a long-standing admiration for advertising because I feel that it's a very pure form of communication in that it tells stories very simply about products that, hey, buy me, I'm delicious, or I'm very useful, So it creates a character, it creates a context for the character to live within. And of course, the idea of cartoon characters are it's a very interesting thing because they tell you stories just by existing. So the more little peculiarities you put in I'm changing this character as I go. This is what you call personalizing the product. So you're not updating it. You're not saying you're trying to do it better than the original. You're just sort of personalizing it and making it your own. So you do this with any kind of drawing that you do, even with a caricature of somebody. So you try to sort of add touches in there that are more your choices, adding to the actual design of the character so that it's not a copy, it's a version. And I think that's important. I mean, you learn a lot by copying. Certainly, I've copied many artists' work, Frazetta or Jeffrey Jones or something, but mainly to understand the process of the technique itself. I actually didn't anticipate the clothing on this, but we'll try and do something with it, something a little bit different.
I think the audience can put up with a naked dollar bill.
No, I'm not giving him a naked dollar bill.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing a different version of the
clothing, which I might actually give him a tie.
Yeah, he's starting to look like Fred Flintstone. Hey.
Fred Flintstone.
Barney boy.
How does he look like Fred Flintstone?
Oh, the tie. It reminded me of the tie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Except
Look, well, he's got a tie. He has a tie.
Yeah.
Might give him a tie pin. So,
a $1 bill tie pin.
yeah.
That's it. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
So,
It drags on the floor like Trump's tie in some of those cartoons.
oh, does his tie drag on the floor?
Yeah, they always have his tie dragging on the floor.
Oh, okay. Never occurred to me to do that, actually, but I guess...
So he doesn't have any pants, does he? Oh, no, he just has, just trousers. Which,
well, it just sort of, he's got grey trousers in the cartoon and a black jacket.
Yep.
So I just thought maybe give him, white collar and just have everything else... black, so it's just simplified a little bit.
Looks good.
Different but simpler.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to copy the character. I'm just trying to do something a little bit different, right? Giving a little bit of form.
Yep.
Which means that it's not just outlines. It has a little bit of shading to indicate a light source. Obviously, the light source is coming from this direction. And which means that this is supposed to be lighter. So let's get back into that with
No rubbers, all right?
with an eraser. This is a blue pencil, and even though usually you use a blue pencil because it slides over the paper easily.
It's a censorship pencil, isn't it? A blue pencil?
No, it's actually for animators use both blue pencils and red pencils because you can get some elements of contrast with the color by pressing darker, and it's still light enough to drop out optically. Obviously in Photoshop, which this would probably end up being taken into, you'd have. We'll make the suit darker. I know I did want some shadow.
It's a blue suit.
Well, it is now, but. So I just even though he's a $1 bill. Now I just wanted to say something. The idea. Let's put a little bit of creases in here. Like actually, you know what? I'll put a few up creases here. Now the thing with this position facing left, of course, you've got the nose should be facing that way or around like this.
Yeah.
But you haven't got that ability because you've got to say S. You've got to say the $sign over here.
But you could make it a little bit red, like he's a drinker.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to imply alcohol.
And he's got a Frida Kahlo.
Alcohol and money.
He's got a Frida Kahlo sort of
monobrow.
Monobrow there. Yeah. That's okay. He's coming up pretty good.
Yeah. So just make him a little bit more contrasty.
Yeah.
So let's have a look. There we go. So this is an anthropomorphic example of a product, of a thing, an object, not an animal. Okay, it's very easy to assign human-like characteristics. We do it all the time to our cats and dogs.
We're watching our dollar grow here.
Yes, we are. This is an investment.
Yes.
So yes, so you can draw him too. Invest in the dollar. Watch your dollars grow. Right before your eyes. You can use red. You can use a red pencil instead of a blue pencil. This is a polychromo.
So red pencils draw faster. Red pencils draw faster.
It keeps you in the red.
So when you were a kid, instead of looking at Disney cartoons, you were looking at ads, yeah?
I was looking at Disney cartoons, thinking of ads. I was hooked on if there were any cartoon ads. Like Chesty Bond or Louis the Fly or Aeroplane Jelly or anything Coco Lossol or whatever, I would be very, very interested in the product.
What was that name of the tiger from
Tony the
Yeah,
Tiger.
he was great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Beautifully drawn. Who drew him? He was great.
I'm not sure. Who. A lot of artists drew him.
Yeah.
He went through many different iterations.
Yeah.
But there's also the Esso Tiger, which I absolutely adored.
I think he was a rip-off of the Kellogg's job.
Well, we don't know.
Now, what are we looking at? What are we looking at? We're
maybe you
looking
can
at.
write in and tell us
We're looking at that.
which came first, the Esso Tiger or Tony the Tiger
Tony the Tiger, yeah.
from Kellogg's.
Beautifully drawn. I like this is pretty good.
So here's the original. This is dollar bill. As I
Yeah.
said to you before, would never have occurred to me to design an anthropomorphic dollar bill.
And you don't reckon it looks like Barney Rubble? You don't reckon it looks like Barney Rubble?
Well, there's a simplicity of design. Of course, Barney Rubble had the dot eyes as well.
Fred?
So I gave it more of a sort of an impish.
An
impish
a
sort
businessman suit. He's very. He's a corporate. He's a corporate man, isn't he?
We're all corporate men.
Are we? Speak for yourself.
So that's the challenge that you guys have to face. You've got to create an anthropomorphic character.
Yep.
Now remember all the possibilities. It could be a pencil, it could be a light bulb, it could be a toaster, it could be anything at all.
It could be.
It could be a dollar bill. Do your own dollar bill.
It could be. What's his name? He's
I don't know who that
the
is.
Duke of Edinburgh, the Queen's husband, as a phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's a terrible phone. It's an awful phone.
It's an old phone. It's a brick.
I don't like the phones.
Or it could be a couple
Glad
of.
we don't. Oh!
Sorry.
Who did that?
It could be a couple of eggs.
Yeah, 2 eggs.
Yeah.
So look at that. That's obviously
Classic Crumb.
That's Robert Crumb.
Classic
so see
Crumb.
the form here, the three-dimensionality of the cross-hatching. Beautiful stuff. And the heavy outlines, which make it punch. Now, he's obviously referring to a lot of the ads from the 1920s, the jazz era, in these things, even though he did these in the 60s.
Or it could be a cup.
He would have looked at old magazines and newspapers and things. And this is the sort of stuff, this is sort of weird characters that they would use. They had these sort of personalities that weren't, they're not Mickey Mouse. They're subtler. They're much subtler than Mickey Mouse. Have a look at this toast with the high heels.
Yes.
So,
That's
I don't know about-
Tessie Toast. Tessie Toast.
Is that what he called her?
No, he didn't call. I don't think
Well,
he
that's a
gave her a
terrible
name.
name.
But he's
Please
done.
don't use names that
He's done. He's
too much
He's Bob
alliteration.
Dill, the singing pickle.
Yeah,
See, he's a pickle.
I like that. That's good.
Singing pickle. And
like
he's
it.
done
I
this
like-
one,
yeah.
which is he's done this. This is a potato, but he calls him Dictator.
Dictator.
There he is. See, and there's his eye, the potato's eye.
Yeah.
And then you've got the classic. We started off with. You talked about dishes.
Products.
So
Dishes and spoons.
This is the dish.
Right.
With the lovely keep on trucking boots.
Yeah.
And then we have
Look at those
the,
hobnails. Fantastic.
and then we have the all-knowing
Ketchup.
sauce bottle.
A1. Look at the wink on the ketchup bottle.
Yeah, look at that. He's telling you, he's letting you on a secret, isn't he?
Yeah.
And here's this,
Saucy.
your saucy.
And there's a can.
Yeah, look at that.
More hobnail boots on
God.
the can.
He did better cans than Andy Warhol did, didn't he? Yeah. Okay,
Well,
well.
I still like Andy Warhol's cans.
Okay, so
Why can't you do an Andy Warhol can with a face?
yeah, what? Well, he didn't.
No, but you can do one better.
Yeah.
That would be better.
Okay, let's finish on two things. Let's finish on the spelling
So
of this.
anthropomorphism. What is anthropomorphism? What's it good for? Absolutely nothing. No, it is. It actually tells
It
stories.
tells stories.
Cartoon characters tell stories implicitly
Yeah.
because of their nature.
Humorous stories.
They
Humorous
imply stories, the backstory. So when you use, if you're an advertiser, please use a cartoonist and come up with. Don't hire Usain Bolt. Don't hire any sports personality or
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian.
Hire a caricaturist to do your business card.
No,
A
hire a
caricaturist.
cartoonist to design your mascot. Remember, mascots are the most powerful form of advertising there is.
Yes.
It's like you ask any football club or sports team in the world. Franz Cantor, Toon Talker, and I'm here with Danny and Danny Zemp, and we're going to be talking about what?
Visual storytaking.
Visual storytelling.
Storytelling, storytaking.
Note-taking, visual note-taking.
Absolutely.
What do you call it in your work today? Or
graphic recording.
Graphic recording. So these are very important topics, and we'll be right back. Danny, what do you call this process? Is visual note-taking?
Visual note-taking, graphic recording.
Graphic recording. Okay, so run us through the process. What do you do? What goes through? What's the start?
What?
Do you get all of the points on the board first, like the topics, the headlines?
Today we've got a few topics to deal with. Yep. Alex, the cartoonist from Slovenia.
Yep.
We talk about the Bunker Gallery,
yep.
30th anniversary,
yep.
and about the Stanleys in November, right. Where all the cartoonists are going to meet again in the clown section.
So these are topics for the ACA at the ACM. I like the little 2 marks. September 5th, 2018.
Okay, and from there on, I basically take notes of what people talk about.
Right, visual notes.
Visual notes. I'll draw a little picture, or maybe draw a little thought bubble, a speech bubble that belongs to it. Right. Fill in times when I can't think of anything.
Yep.
It's actually quite nice.
So do you draw little tiny cartoons of people while they're not looking, or even when they're looking?
Yes. It is a bit daunting because you've been put on the spot. People start looking at you and you've got to draw right away. So that's quite hard to do. So I tend to ignore them and not really pay attention to them.
Right.
You make mistakes, you make spelling errors, or you don't draw in the right way. Or it's all part of the parcel. It's for fun. People need to laugh about it.
So do you have like a visual vocabulary to draw on, like a set number of images and things that you've practiced before that are handy to use in the storytelling?
Probably I should about Canberra, maybe draw a bit of the Parliament House. That would be handy to know about that.
Okay, you want to draw, you're both comfortable working on an iPad and a projector and also a whiteboard itself, right? So, or paper or something like this. You can really do anything. So it's basically, well, I know you can.
Well, it is a different medium. I prefer to work on a smaller piece of paper.
Sure.
The whiteboard is a bit fluid at times.
Yeah.
The bloody thing sometimes has its own mind when it doesn't. Isn't properly tied down.
Sure.
But it's again part of the parcel. You work with these sort of things, and hopefully people take something home from it.
All right, so I'm trying to get you to draw a little something on the board, so I'll film actually you drawing and thinking and drawing. Is it a fluid process, like you come up with a theme or a symbol, or what do you do? Where are we going?
I'm not quite sure about fluid, but when you talk about fluid, usually you find there is something about water, and I can't really think about anything particular, but I thought, why not a bottle, a simple bottle? This is just quickly on the run because I don't really draw anything fancy right now, so I'll wipe that out again. But it is just.
So the invention of something fluid, talking about fluid, right? So you let your mind wander to something associated with fluid, and this is your version of a symbol on the spur of the moment that can fit that mark.
I certainly didn't think about drawing a bottle on a pirate ship inside. It was just a spur of the moment, and you got to be a bit on the run.
Yeah.
You can't just think about it too long.
Yeah. Because it's a deadline, isn't it?
It is a deadline, and you are on the spot. So.
Well, what about? Do you come up with words, pictures that fit words like deadline? What's image comes to mind for deadline?
It's hard. It's hard to tell, but
this is the test.
It's a test, but it's not really that hard.
So every time you hear it, you can come up with a different solution.
Absolutely.
So here we are. This is RIP. It's a headstone with deadline. Great. Yes.
So it is again.
So the whole idea of symbols work. Visual symbols work because we share a commonality. It's a lingua franca. So in other words, a common tongue for us. Hearing the word deadline, a lot of images come to mind. Mine could be different to yours.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean that this is wrong, because this is also valid for me.
We're working after deadline. I mean,
yeah,
I can draw a flat line.
Flat line. Draw a flat line. Let's draw a flat line. What's your impression of the? See, these are words. People come up with these. They're smarter than the average bear. They come up. That's a flat line. See that? That's
not quite. It's flat now.
Yeah, it's flattening out. See, that's a heartbeat pulse going and flattening out. Dot dot dot.
He's got a stroke here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's me.
So these are shared visual symbols.
These are something I make up on the run. I don't really think about it too hard. So sometimes you've got to draw a crowd of people. That's a bit hard, but you try to simplify as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. So you just do like an outline of one group of people or something.
Yeah, and you hand in a lot of people behind. So quite often you just got to.
Here's another test because I hate drawing groups of people.
Of course, most people do. So you just try to.
It's a lot of drawing.
It is a lot of drawing.
Yeah. So you simplify the hell out of it and create these things. So if you were to talk about, say, a subject of, I don't know, depression, how would you visualize depression if you're talking to a group of psychologists?
I think it comes down to the context of the whole story. A depression can be just a bump in the road.
Yes.
A depression can be a dark cloud.
Dark cloud. There you go.
I mean, these guys are just smiling, but I'll change their face around a bit. But you have more people in the background, so I'm just adding a few to it. So
right. Look how clever that is.
So
now you've got a group.
They've got a whole bunch of people now, and they're standing behind.
There's
a
crowd.
sad, and
I can see it.
And because they are a bit depressed,
right.
I just give them a bit of
rainy cloud.
Exactly. So it's not. You can fill it in black, but now you've got the flat line in the way.
Right. So these again, like shared symbols. You can do a thought bubble. Oftentimes in some comics they put thought bubbles that have storm clouds.
Absolutely, people.
Which means that they're, sad thoughts or angry thoughts.
Someone's not really happy, and you give them a bit of a dark cloud over their head.
Yeah.
It's very basic, really.
Yeah. Because it's it's not basic because. Look how you've joined that thought bubble. That's your trademark cherry bombs.
You got to have something.
Yes.
But this is very quick, very basic. So I usually try to take a little bit more time to flesh it out a little bit more.
So when you're doing live graphic recording, you've obviously got the topics ahead of time. And you've got some idea of where you're going?
Yes and no. Sometimes that happens, that you have a topic. Well, of course, you know what it's about, but you don't know the exact storyline.
Yeah.
It can be a disadvantage if you prepare yourself too far, because it's not on the spur of the moment.
Right.
So
does that mean you're thinking too much about it, making it too perfect or something?
Yes, and sometimes you jump too far ahead. Like you think about, that's the next topic that's coming up, and you want to make it spontaneous.
Yeah.
I mean, people stumble sometimes. Little things.
Does that make it more interesting when you stumble? When you make a little error or something like that?
It can be interesting.
Yeah. Obviously not for you, but
we all make little mistakes, so we live with it. But now
it's important to make mistakes. Actually,
exactly.
You can't go anywhere further without some mistakes.
So now we have here the presenter.
Yep.
And he goes, he does that a lot.
Yeah.
So I give him a tally.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on.
Yeah.
So people take it as a visual story.
Yeah.
They look at it and go, a bit of fun on the side.
Yeah.
Because he can draw on this side.
Yeah.
And then he goes on, and
you
go 2 more.
So just at the spur of the moment, you pick up on a turn of phrase or some personality trait or something, and you just exaggerate it in fun, right? Obviously, you're not, if someone's got like a big canker sore on their nose, you don't sort of explode it up as a big but orange.
People talk about politics, for example, and you got someone talking about what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
So they mention the word Trump a lot. They mention the word Hillary a lot, and so on. But put that in perspective, how many times have they said it? So you put a name in front, and people find that it's funny, and they pay more attention on some details that are not necessarily relevant, but in the grand scheme of things, it lightens the room.
Right, so when they say ahem, Every time they say him, you just add another tally.
Exactly. Why not?
So this is funny.
It
It's
breaks my life up a little bit too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you come over a topic that is
So is that
boring.
Yeah, exactly. Very dry.
Yeah, numbers. We're talking about
Numbers.
numbers. I mean, you can quickly caricature the speaker at the time.
Yeah.
And he goes, and yet he speaks about numbers.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, again. So you just do that little funny device.
Yes.
It lightens the room a little bit.
Yes.
Lightens the topic.
And if you would work with a lot of the same speakers, you
Yeah.
can incorporate these sort of fun cues as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a teamwork in a way. And if you can do that, it really lightens up the room. It becomes not a comedy affair, but something really boring like an annual report or an AGM can make it fun.
Yeah. So humans share a common language of symbols and images and things which are familiar to them, like the deadline, the headstone. So and even the dripping bottle. Obviously, it's like for liquid or water. What I wanted to say was, even with the commonality of language, of visual language, when you break it up, obviously with comedic points in the conversation, in the talk, in the discussion, right, it lightens the room. That's the difference between a cartoonist, I might say, and a normal graphic recorder who doesn't have a sense of humor or a sense of timing. You obviously have a sense of timing, right? Right? You're playing for laughs, visual laughs, but you are playing for laughs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So that's why you should hire Danny. That's why you should hire Danny. That's
absolutely.
Why a cartoonist? Why a cartoonist and not somebody who just knows the lingo, the visual lingo? Cartoonists have a sense of humor. They have a sense of slapstick. They have a sense of lightening the room and making that message fun to listen to. Yeah.
That's exactly the
I'm
point.
talking too much.
No, thank you very much. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah. This is fantastic. Okay, we'll visit this again very soon, but I think the next step is to challenge the reader, challenge the viewer to think up a visual vocabulary of their own that's unique. See how Danny has got a unique take on, thought bubbles and word balloons. They're part of his own visual style, so it's not shared with other people. That's an important thing to remember and to put in, because that gives your cartoons a character, and the character is Danny. All right, this is Franz Cantor and Danny Zem saying see you next time.
See ya.
Okay, this is Toon. You have been watching Toon Talk, the show about cartoons, comics, and animation.
Mel Blanc.
Yeah, no. This is Franz Cantor and
Jim Bridges
saying what? Saying sayonara. See you next time.
See you next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the sour persimmons, cousin.